Hello everyone and welcome back to Final Fight 2. This is another one of the extra, one of the extra bonus rounds. We have to hit the drums really quickly, and if we hit them while they're on fire, they catch us on fire and we lose a lot of time. I'm pretty sure if you hit any of the drums that are on fire, you won't have enough time to complete the mission. But even if you don't, it's still really strict. I'd like to see someone complete this without memorizing it, because I really don't think that you could. Welcome to the penultimate level of Final Fight 2, which has something in common with the penultimate level of the original Final Fight on the SNES, in that it throws a lot of enemies of the same type at us. Later in the stage we'll be confronted with 6 or so Alex at the same time, and 6 or so Leons and Roberts. I appreciate that they had the restraint to wait until the second to last level to cram a bunch of the same enemy types together. It's not like it's bad design or anything, dealing with 6 Alex at the same time is really hard. I mean, they don't all spawn at the same time, but they spawn one after the other, and it can seem like an endless stream at the time, especially for the Roberts and Leons because they never stop jumping. Unlike the original Final Fight though, this level does not have Burn and Cycle in it, which is my favorite track from that game. There is a remix of that track in Final Fight 1, but it's incredibly discordant, and it really hurts my ears, and I don't like it. You might be asking, what do you mean Final Fight 1? Weren't you just talking about the first Final Fight? I'm confused. Well, yeah, but there's a remake of the first Final Fight called Final Fight 1 on the Game Boy Advance, and that's what I was referring to just now. I don't like the Burn and Cycle remix. There's a pretty good remix on Final Fight Double Impact, though, which came out on PSN and the Xbox store. We skipped ahead a bit so you could see the part I was talking about where the game throws a whole bunch of the enemies of the same type at you. This is the Robert and Leon boat that we're in right now. If there were any enemies of the same type to stick together in large groups, I think it would have to be these guys, because they don't have a lot of health and they're really hard to dodge, especially in large numbers, so they're the ones that benefit most from this sort of thing. Elik would be the guy that benefits the second most, so it's a good decision that they use him for this upcoming section. Before we get to the massive wad of Alex though, we have to fight an Andore. This Andore, unlike the others, is very low on health, which I consider a great mercy. Maybe if all the Andores had this little health, then the game would be a lot less long and thus a lot more bearable. My perception is probably colored more negatively from playing Expert Mode. Normal mode is not that bad. Anyway, here's the wad of Alex I was promising. As I said I think a couple of times now, though it may have just been the one time, these guys can really fuck you up with their electric charge. Their rods hurt you less when they're not electrified, but when they are, they seriously deal as much damage as one of Andore's attacks, and yeah, you should watch out for that. They also curve their path up or down when they charge at you, so that way they can chase you if you simply think you can budge a little bit to get out of their way. Moving up or down is still an easy way to dodge them, you just have to time it better. My preferred method of dealing with them is with jump attacks, but you have to jump attack early, like as soon as they start charging, because otherwise you won't have enough time and they'll knock you out of the air. When I first played this game, I kinda scoffed at Elik because of his appearance. I'm like, what is this enemy even for? He's so bumbling and stupid. But no, he turned out to be one of the most formidable foes I faced. Certainly harder than Andore to deal with, maybe on par with Robert and Leon, though Robert and Leon are much harder to deal with in groups because of their jumping. I've memorized where all of the enemies spawn in this elevator, and it's very hard for me to get hit here. It helps that there's a giant board in the center so you can smack all the enemies into a corner. The hardest thing is that Andore that spawns right in the center, but I knew he was there. The reason I say that Andore can be tricky is because I originally made the mistake of moving too far to the right of the screen, so Andore charged at me from behind, and I wasn't prepared for that. I mean, a desperation attack would fix that up, but he just appeared out of nowhere. What's he think he's doing falling from the sky like that? I suppose this section could be a bit cathartic if you were having trouble with the wad of Alex from earlier, which I wouldn't blame you for that. I mean, I certainly had trouble with it initially. Alright, now it's time for my favorite boss in the game, and it's not even a contest, he's just that much better than everyone else. This is Roland, known as Rolento in the original Final Fight, and I'm not sure why they changed his name, but whatever. He has the most erratic pattern of all the boss fights, but because of that, he's the most fun to fight. If you fight him too near the right or left wall, then he bounces off the wall and toward you, but that can be dodged by moving up or down. The easiest way to hit him is to wait until he jumps on the back railing, and then as soon as he lands, do a full combo. It's easier to do a full combo if you hit him from behind after he lands, but you can do it from the front too, especially considering Maki's range. So we've covered his most obvious weakness when he jumps off the railing, but there is a way to hit him on even footing, and that's by standing diagonally away from him. You have to stand in just the right spot though, because his pole is really long, and if you stand too far away or too close, you won't be able to hit him, and he'll just jab you with his stick. This is an excellent example of a Capcom beat-em-up boss, where not all of his attacks are terribly well telegraphed. I mean, you can see his wall bounce and his jump from the railing easily enough, and you have plenty of time to react to those. But his pole strike and his grab and throw, those are lightning fast, and it's really hard to see them coming, so you have to anticipate his movements. Some people may not like this very much, but the way I see it, it's not all that different from a fighting game, where you have to anticipate the other player's movements, except it's a computer, who is arguably more predictable. After you get his health down to the last bar, he switches to easy mode, where he consistently jumps on the railing, shoots grenades, and then jumps back down. Just as with his first phase, he's easily the most vulnerable when he jumps off the railing, and you can even grab him this time. So Rolento was originally a character in the first Final Fight game, but in the SNES game's release he wasn't included due to space restrictions. Or rather, they didn't know how to use the space as well as they should have. So in Final Fight 2, presumably Capcom saw fit to include him as penance for him not being in the first game. And his inclusion in the second game is kind of weird. In the original game, his ideals lined up with Mad Gear's, but Mad Gear 2 is not Mad Gear, so it's a little unclear what he's doing here.